Hi, I'm John Doe, and I'm running to be President of the United States. As President, I'll represent the people, the working people, not the elites and the members of the business class who are only concerned with the bottom line. The cornerstone of my platform is a fundamental change to the way we treat our workers when it comes to collective bargaining. We will make the hiring of temporary workers during strikes completely illegal, giving the power back to the unions and allowing workers to keep their jobs and fight for higher wages. In order to understand unions, we're going to look at some historical data. The U.S. is changing, and it's changing in a really, really bad way. During America's greatest years of the 1940s and 1950s, years of economic growth and prosperity for all, around 35% of American workers were unionized. People were happy, wages were high, and the U.S. was winning world wars. Since then, the destructive companies have been taking down our unions. For periods in the 1960s and 70s, the loss of union workers was at least offset by an increase in union over non-union wages, with the difference reaching as high as 25% in 1975. These record wages, in part, came from a willingness to strike against companies. From the 1940s to 1970s, we saw about 350 strikes per year. Now, due to our government failing to protect our workers from overseas competition and companies lacking any care for their employees and movement away from union membership has dropped to 11.1% of all workers and only 6.6% of private sector workers. Furthermore, our union members are only getting 15% more than their non-union counterparts, and strikes happen less than 50 times a year. All the while, large businesses are making windfall profits. History has been going in the wrong direction. Let's do something our children will be proud of and reverse that trend.
I love being part of a union. Through it, I've been able to increase my wages, reduce the amount of hours I work to a more reasonable level, and have proper benefits and care in the workplace. This not only reduces income inequality, but it also causes a lower turnover. However, this is only possible if I have actual bargaining power. If this law were passed, my power would be even greater. No boss is going to run the risk of a complete union strike if he can't threaten to hire other workers in place of us. Works out great for me.
Here's a model depicting the wages and how they change over time as a result of the strike. Over time, eventually the employer's resistance and the union members' resistance merge together, resulting in the equilibrium wage here. But if candidate Doe's proposed policy were to pass and employers were no longer able to hire temporary workers, that would increase the employer's costs, pushing the resistance curve up and ultimately increasing the equilibrium wage to here, meaning more take-home pay for workers. Here we see a simple supply and demand curve, or graph. Here's the equilibrium wage now, what union members are currently making. But if firms are allowed to hire temporary workers to replace the striking members, the supply curve shifts out to here because of the increased labor, and the wage decreases. So here we can see that by allowing firms to hire temporary workers, wages decrease for workers. The benefits of candidate Doe's proposed policy would actually have spillover effects into non-union members' wages. By preventing firms of hiring temporary workers during a strike, their efforts can actually help to increase non-union member wages and benefits by essentially threatening firms to increase wages to prevent a strike in the first place, during which they will not be able to produce anything due to lack of manpower. According to an article published by the Economic Policy Institute, a high school graduate whose workplace is not unionized but whose industry is 25% unionized is paid 5% more than similar workers in less unionized industries. Here we can see that the benefits of unions spill over across all spectrums of the industry and benefit members and non-members alike. Unions specifically have positive impacts on the bottom 90% of wage earners. Between 1930 and 1970, when union membership was at its highest, the average income for the bottom 90% of wage earners increased by 242% in real 2014 US dollars. Since the decline in union membership income for this demographic has been nearly stagnated, while incomes for the top 10% have increased dramatically. Here we can see that, again, membership in unions is beneficial for wages and benefits of both members of the union and non-members of the union.
That is why, within my first 100 days in office, I will make it completely illegal for firms to hire temporary workers during a strike. I'm John Doe, and I approve this message.